So good morning, everyone. My name is Jesse, and I am with Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants. For those joining us for the first time, we are all about bringing conservation, adventure, and science to classrooms around the world. Right now, we are joined by 6 classes from across North America, and I'll give them a chance to do a shout-out when we do Q&A a little later. But I want to introduce the reason we're all here today. So we are joined live from Ripley's Aquarium of Canada behind the scenes by Danielle, an educator, and Kaitlyn, the aquarist. We're going to show us all about their Octopus Enrichment program, so how they keep their incredibly smart animals satisfied and happy and fascinating. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to Danielle and Kaitlyn. Thanks so much for joining us, guys.
Okay, great. Hi, everyone. So like Jesse said, my name is Danielle. I'm an educator here at Ripley's Aquarium of Canada, and joining me is Kaitlyn, our aquarist. So she's in charge of our 2 Giant Pacific Octopus that we have here at the aquarium. So right now you're looking at our younger female Giant Pacific Octopus. She's currently not out on exhibit. She's just back here behind the scenes. So if you come visit us, you wouldn't normally see her, which is pretty cool. So Kaitlyn, do you want to explain what you're doing right now?
Yeah, so she's pretty little, and we've started her routine where I open the lid and I'll start by cleaning the tank. So I have a siphon going here, just cleaning anything that's on the bottom. And after we're done cleaning, then we'll start target training. So yeah.
Okay, very cool. So I don't know if you can see, but there she is in the corner here. So you might be able to see her suctions. So, and you might see in her tank here lots of little toys, some kelp, shells, barnacles. So these octopus are very, very intelligent. They often, part of our enrichment program here, we like to give them little toys to play with. So we actually put their food in different jars and between different things like Lego blocks, just to keep them stimulated and learning new skills. So Kaitlyn here, she first slaps the water, and this is the target. So they're target trained, so the octopus would recognize this as feeding time. And then if she comes over and taps the target, she'll be rewarded. And today she's being fed mussels. We'll see if she cooperates. So a couple of fun facts about these Giant Pacific Octopus. They're the largest and longest living octopus. So even in the wild and in captivity, they only live to about 3 to 5 years old, which doesn't seem very long, especially because these animals can get pretty large. So on average, they can weigh like 100 to 150 pounds and between 10 and 16 feet. But scientists believe that the largest one recorded was actually 30 feet and almost 600 pounds, which is crazy. And these octopus, they're found in temperate waters in the Pacific Ocean, so anywhere from Japan to Alaska to California. And they usually like to live in rocky areas or in caves deeper in the ocean. And these animals are mainly nocturnal, so they spend their days saving energy, hiding in caves, and then they like to come out at night to hunt. And they eat a variety of seafood, mainly the same things that we would like to eat. So shrimp, clams, lobster, different fish, mussels. And they have a hard beak, kind of like a parrot, that they can crack open these shells. So our little octopus here doesn't seem very hungry, so we're gonna move over to show you our other octopus. Her name's Violet, so we'll see if she's a little bit hungrier. So I will bring you on over to her. So Violet is our 2nd Giant Pacific Octopus. She's currently on exhibit, so this is the back of her tank. She's still fairly young. We think she's about 1.5 years old. So this is up here, so you can see we have lots of different toys for her. So different sized jars. What else do we have? Little octopus toy, a little boat. So we would actually just put her food inside all of these things. And then she has to learn and remember how to open them. So we'll see. Kaitlyn's just going to prepare her food. She's getting soft-shelled crab. So another neat thing about these octopus, they actually have 3 hearts. So they have 3 hearts. 2 are responsible for pumping blood to their gills, so that's how they breathe underwater. And 1 is responsible for pumping blood to the rest of the body. So with 3 hearts, and they also have 9 brains, which is crazy. So they have 9 brains, 1 central brain to control their nervous system. And they actually think that they have a smaller brain in each of their arms. So octopus have 8 arms, and that controls the movement of these arms. Okay, so here we go. This is Violet's target, so similar to the smaller one we just saw. So Violet will be able to recognize this target as feeding. And this is a good way to feed our animals here at Ripley's because it allows us to get a closer look so we can check up on these animals and make sure they're not hurt, they don't have any lesions or anything like that while they're being fed. Okay. So currently, Kaitlyn just shared with me that Violet is out in the outer cylinder. So her tank is kind of set up like an H. So there's this large cylinder here that we're looking at, and then there's a tube that goes across to another cylinder tank. So she's currently in that outer one, and that usually means that she's really active and she's looking for food. So we're hoping that she'll come over soon so we can get a closer look at her. So back to, let's talk about more about their body parts. So I told you they have 3 hearts, 9 brains. They also have blue blood. So their blood is blue because they have a copper-rich protein in it, where ours is red because we have iron. And this is good because these octopus live in cold water, so it helps them be more adaptable in these colder conditions. Another very cool thing about these animals is that they are able to change the color of their skin. Now, they can do this in an instant, and it will help them camouflage from predators or to sneak up on their prey in the wild. And they camouflage using different color-changing pigment cells. The fancy word is called chromatophores. So chromatophores can change the color from black, brown, red, orange, yellow, and it's done by these elastic sacks full of pigment, and they contract or expand using different muscles, and that will allow the skin to either look brighter or to hide the color.
Danielle?
Yes?
You're mentioning all these cool facts about them. I was curious, you mentioned that they have a beak. Could you tell us a little bit about how they can squeeze their bodies and change shape?
Yes, for sure. So, yeah, I did mention, or I should have mentioned before this, so octopus, they're an invertebrate, so they don't have any bones, no backbone, and they're part of a group of animals called mollusks. So mollusks could be anything from snails to octopus, and the common feature of this group of animals is a shell, but octopus, they don't have a shell, so the only hard part of their body is the beak. That's what I was mentioning, and it's made out of a protein called chitin, and as long as the hole is slightly bigger than this beak, they're able to fit through. So it's really amazing. These animals, like I said, can be anywhere up to 16 feet, but they can fit through tiny holes as long as it's a little bit larger than their beak. And they can do this because they can change the texture and the size projections on their skin. So they have what's called Papillae, and they're actually able to control the size and change the size of their skin projections. And since they have no bones, they can just slip right through. Their arms are just all muscle. It's pretty amazing. So if you Google or YouTube, go on YouTube, and you can find all sorts of octopus fitting through tiny little cracks and holes or opening jars. It's pretty fascinating.
Very cool.
So let's see if Violet will come come out. We're having a little technical difficulty.
Well, while we're waiting for her, Danielle, since she might be playing in the other section of the H, why don't we take a few questions, and then if she appears, we can just go and look at her for a bit. Does that sound good?
Okay, and I'm actually going to go out, and I can show you from the outside, but I would love to take questions.
Great. All right. So, guys, let's start with Miss Harrison's group. If you guys have any questions about the octopus or what they're doing or anything else, take us away.
We were wondering, we've been doing some reading about different octopus who detach their arms to get away from their predators. And we're just wondering if you can tell us any more about that. How do they detach one of their arms?
Oh, sure. That might be a question I will have to ask Kaitlyn. She just ran to the back there.
But there we go. We can see our octopus. That's good.
So there's, just while I wait for Kaitlyn there, sorry. This is Violet. So she's, like I said, her, it's a little bit dark in this area, but her exhibit here is like an H. So she can go over there where her little cave is, and then her tube out to here. So Kaitlyn, I have a question for you. The question was, the octopus are able to detach their arms if a predator comes along, and do you know more information about how they do this?
I don't know exactly how it works, but actually it's interesting that Violet, one of her arms is a little bit stubby, and you can actually see one of her arms growing back.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure if it's similar to how sea stars kind of regenerate their limbs or how the actual process works, but when she was in the wild, when she was younger, she did lose part of her arm.
Okay, so we're not sure exactly about the mechanics or how, like, our limbs can regenerate. It might be similar to those of sea stars, but Kaitlyn was sharing with me that Violet actually must have lost one of her arms in the wild because she has a shorter kind of stubby arm, and they have seen it growing back. But we don't know exactly how this process is done. There's Violet. Okay.
Very cool, though. They don't just lose them, but they actually grow them back as well. Excellent.
Yes.
Violet's on the move.
There she goes. 60 arms. So each of these arms can have 280 suctions, and there's special chemoreceptors on each section that help the octopus taste and smell. So she's touching her target, and then she'll be rewarded with some soft-shelled crab.
Nice. All right. Well, while she's doing that, we'll head out to Miss Martin Houston's class. If you guys have a question for us, in Winnipeg, you're welcome to go right ahead. Oh. I don't know if you hear me. Well, we'll come back. Let's see Miss Brennan's group.
Oh, there we go. Hi.
Hi, guys.
You guys have any questions about octopus?
What's our question? We were wondering, how do they swim?
How they what? Sorry, can you repeat that?
How do they swim?
How do they swim?
Okay, how octopus swim. So they use what's called jet propulsion. So an octopus has 8 arms, and then they have that big bulbous head and a mantle region, and just under there it's called a siphon or a water jet, and they pump water through this jet to quickly swim away. But octopus actually also prefer just to walk along the bottom. Since they have 8 arms, they're very muscular, and as I mentioned before, those 280 suction cups per arm allow these creatures to sense their environment, so taste and smell. So their preferred method is just to kind of walk along the bottom, and it's only when predators or if they're feeling threatened that they'll do this jet propulsion to swim away a bit quicker. And you might know they also have their escape mechanism, their ink, so they might also squirt out that ink while they're jetting away.
Outstanding. Sorry, worth mentioning too. So Miss Harrison's group is grade 1 and 2s in Ear Falls, Ontario. Miss Martin Houston is kindergarten in Winnipeg, Manitoba, and Miss Brennan's class is kindergarten in Trenton, Ontario.
Okay.
Let's head to Miss McIntosh's group, grade 5s in Brampton. If you guys have a question.
Hello, my name is Shipwaz, and how rare are these octopuses to find in the ocean?
Question.
How rare are these octopus found in the ocean? So scientists actually know very little about how many of these octopus we have in the ocean. We don't know exact numbers of their population, but since they are nocturnal and they live in caves and rocky areas, it is harder to find them because they're more active at night.
Good answer, yes. Because they're nocturnal, because they live in places that it's very hard to find, it's very hard to get an idea of their numbers, and they're over a very, very wide area too. So
yes.
Very cool. All right, let's go to Mr. Bernie's group, grade 5, 6s in Aurelia. Hi, guys.
Is there anything different about the giant octopus from other octopus other than their size?
Good question.
Good question. So as I mentioned before, this is the longest living and largest living, so compared to other octopus. And I'm going to see if Kaitlyn knows if there's anything else that's super special about them. So compared to other octopus, is there any defining characteristic or anything different about the Giant Pacific Octopus other than their size?
They do have two frontal dorsal white spots that tell them apart from other large cold-water octopus.
No? Okay. So they have two...
Sometimes they show.
Okay, so they have two white spots, usually kind of behind their eye. I think it's a little bit too dark to see, but this is a distinguishing feature to this species that other octopus don't have.
Very cool. Thanks, guys. Let's go to Mrs. Adrazi's class, which are grade 5s in Bristol, Connecticut.
How are octopuses related to squid?
How are they? Could you repeat that? Sorry.
Related to squid?
Oh, good.
Yeah, so octopus and squid are in the same family of animals, so they're both invertebrates and they're both in that group of animals called mollusks, and then they're in the smaller group called cephalopods. So that includes our octopus, our squid, our cuttlefish, and a nautilus. So all these animals are very similar. So they have similar body plans. They're able to, so they have those special color changing pigment cells I was talking about. And they have similar behaviors. So just their characteristics, and they're in that same family of animals. So they're very closely related.
Very cool. I also urge all the classes to look up cuttlefish, which the aquarium actually has, and nautilus, which they don't. Both are really, really neat and unique animals. Octopus and squid, a lot of people know. The other two, they don't. So I just encourage you to check those out.
Yes.
Miss Rogers' class, this grade 6 in Catahoula, Georgia. Did you guys have a question? I know you had trouble getting in, and I don't know if it's working. But we'll come back to you. We'll go back to Miss Martin Houston's class. The class in Winnipeg, if you guys can hear me, you're able to ask a question. And if not, we'll do another round with the other classes. Which is what we're going to do. All right. Let's go to Ms. Harrison's group again. You guys have a second question?
Class. How do octopuses breed?
How do they breed?
Yeah.
So octopus, like all fish, they have gills that help them breathe. So they are able to pull the oxygen out of the water over their gills, and that's how they're able to breathe underwater.
Excellent. I just want to confirm for Ms. Harrison's group, was it breathe or breed?
Oh.
I don't know. It might have been breed.
It was breathe. We were wondering where their gills were and how they do it.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, so their gill, yeah. So most of the octopus or squid, their internal organs or all their parts of their body are kind of inside this bulbous head region. So we can't really see it from the outside.
Okay. Excellent. All right, let's go to Ms. Brennan's group for a second question.
Okay, so I'm going to ask what's my favorite tree. Go ahead.
What's Violet's favorite treat?
Her favorite treat?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, her favorite treat is what she's eating right now. So that's the soft-shelled crab.
By the way, great dinosaur shirt for that kid too. I love it. All right. Soft-shelled crab sounds delicious right about now too. I just wanted to mention too, I forgot to mention, we've got a few groups watching on YouTube Live, so if you guys are a classroom now and you want to pass along a question in the chat bar, you can do that, and I will pass it along to Danielle. While we're waiting for that, let's go to Ms. McIntosh's group again for a second question. Yep.
Oh. How does the octopus protect their organs without bones?
How do they? Could you repeat that? Sorry.
How do they protect their organs without bones?
Good question.
So how do octopus protect their organs without their bones? Without bones? That is a good question. So their internal anatomy, so their organs are very kind of simplified. They're not as complex as, well, that's probably not the best word, not as complex as ours, but they have extremely muscular bodies that would help offer some protection.
Well, and as you mentioned before, so they have the ink mechanism to get away if things try to get them. A lot of them are poisonous, so things wouldn't want to eat them. And with the giant Pacific octopus, they're very big, so there's not much that actually can eat them once they get to that full size.
Exactly. So yeah, they also use these other adaptations. So they may not really need bones since they have their ability to camouflage, the ink that we talked about, and they're good at hiding and swimming away.
Very cool. All right, let's go to Mr. Bernie's group. You guys have a second question? Yep.
Why did you want to work for the aquarium?
Why did I want to work for the aquarium?
Yeah.
Good question. So since I was a little girl, I've been very fascinated with nature, specifically the ocean. And I actually studied marine biology at school. So I thought Ripley's Aquarium would be a great place to start my career working with sea creatures and being surrounded by nature and animals. Those are my big passions. So that's what brought me here to Ripley's. And also being able to educate kids like you and sharing that passion and knowledge. So maybe one day you guys can be little marine biologists.
Excellent. All right, and we'll take one last question before we wrap up. So Mrs. Adrosny's class, if you guys want to end us off.
So, in your aquarium, what's the largest octopus you've got? Like, what's the record?
Okay, so yeah, we've only ever had a giant Pacific octopus. Kaitlyn, do you know what has been our largest giant Pacific octopus? How much?
Males are slightly bigger than the females, but it's difficult for us to weigh them when they get so big. So we're going to pass on.
Okay, so I'll pass on that. So we had a male giant Pacific octopus in the past, but we don't have a confirmed weight or size because it's very difficult to weigh these animals once they reach a certain size. She's saying it's hard to wrestle with an octopus and get them to cooperate.
It's very, very, so you mentioned how strong they are and how difficult it is to wrestle with them. I remember when I was there at the aquarium, I mean, just the very tip of their tentacle or their arm is enough to pull your full arm. So they are very, very strong and hard to manage. Danielle, before we wrap up, is there any last message you want to share? We have about 5 classes here that could actually come to the aquarium. They're in Ontario. So for classes that might be able to come in the future or learn more about the octopus, is there any last thing you'd like to share?
Oh, definitely, yes. If you guys are local, I would definitely recommend paying us a visit to learn more about our giant Pacific octopus and all the other wonderful creatures we have here. We offer lots of different interactive programs and field trips, so it'd be a very fun educational opportunity for you guys to see these in real life.
Very cool. For our classes too, I know some of you have done Hangouts with Aquarium before, but they do a little bit of everything. We do more with Ripley's than almost any other group. So whether it's their kelp forest, their octopus, their shark feeding, there's lots more. So we hope to have your classes back soon. And Danielle, as you know from doing this before, what we do at the end of every Hangout. So boys and girls, please do get ready. I'm going to demute everyone's microphones. So you can all join me in saying a big thank you to Danielle and Kaitlyn for joining us today. So everybody is demuted. And go for it, guys. And thank you so much. Awesome, guys. Thank you so much, Danielle. Kaitlyn, thanks so much, guys.
Thanks so much, guys. Have a great